Ladies and gentlemen, and we're live. Welcome to the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy 2021 Award Ceremony. I'm your host and producer, Jimmy McKay. Now, this event is being held just like many other things in your life right now, like meeting your kids' teachers, hanging out with old college friends, or pretending to pay attention to a long-winded story from a relative. It's all virtual these days. Now, since we're broadcasting live online, that means we're scattered across the country, across the globe. But that doesn't mean we can't connect. We ask that you make your presence known right now by commenting below on whatever platform you're viewing on. Let's test that out to make sure that this thing's actually on. If you're watching with us live, comment the word live and then let us know where you are geographically. We want to see what corners of the country and the world that this Aopt broadcast is actually reaching. How far does the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy really go? Let us know where you are in the comment below right now. And while you're doing that, some important things to remember during the event. You may become completely immersed in this award ceremony to the point that you start clapping or yelling at your computer screen. Now, remember, this is about as effective as clapping for the actors in a movie theater, and it can potentially get you some weird looks from those in your general vicinity. But there is a way around this. Throughout the event tonight, if you would like to show your appreciation in a way that the award recipients can see and feel, you can do that too. You can share some words of encouragement, again, by leaving a comment below, or maybe sharing some emojis. We love the emojis, right? You could use some of these, maybe a couple of these, or some faces, really whatever suits you. So feel free to interact with the event tonight. Some housekeeping. The manager would like me to remind you that drinks and snacks will be complimentary during the entire event tonight from your kitchen. All right, now that we have that out of the way, let's get started with the 2021 Aopt Award Ceremony.
Hello and welcome to the Academy of Orthopaedic Physical Therapy Award Ceremony. Thank you for joining and congratulations to all of our 2021 award recipients. I'd like to acknowledge the awards committee, Dr. Lisa Hogland, Dr. Murray Maitland, Dr. Amy McDevitt and Dr. Mike Ross. Thanks to the Academy President, Dr. Joe Donnelly and Dr. Laurie Mishner, our board liaison, for their support of this unique virtual award ceremony. I'd like to recognise any previous presidents of the Academy who have joined. Thanks to Tara Fredrickson for her tireless efforts to organise this event, and to Jimmy McKay for hosting. We're delighted to have the opportunity at the end of an outstanding conference and a challenging year to recognise and celebrate the wonderful accomplishments of our colleagues and students. We appreciate everyone who submitted a nomination or wrote a letter of support. We ask that you continue to do so for next year and consider nominating an exceptional colleague or student. Now back to you, Jimmy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now that we've started the show, let's bring on our first presenter for the Rose Excellence in Research Award. Here is Tony Deleo.
Hi, everyone. It's a true honor to be here to introduce the Steve Rose Award, Stephen J. Rose Excellence in Clinical Research Award. I'm a recipient of the Steve Rose Award, but the reason I'm here is because I think I can start with in a galaxy not a long time ago because of the stars here. I think I was a student of Steve Rose's back in the 1970s, in the late 1970s. I graduated from the University of Buffalo in 1979, and Steve was the chair of the program at Buffalo. And for reasons that I still don't know to this day, he asked me to come to St. Louis with him and start the journey at Washington University in St. Louis. And I spent the next 12 years of my life in St. Louis, and it was and I under the mentorship of Steve. Steve was a unique, just a unique character. in so many different ways. But this research award really struck at the heart of what he was one of his objectives in physical therapy, which was to create an evidence-based practice. You have to remember, in the 70s, there wasn't much of an evidence-based practice. A little about Steve's background. He was one of the few physical therapists with a PhD, and he took the chair's position at the University of Buffalo shortly after his own receiving his own PhD. And this is a guy who got a PhD in electron microscopy of the neuromuscular junction in a frog. Incredibly, his thesis, if you remember all the cartoons when we learned about the neuromuscular junction and the impulse of the nerve, and then you'd have these synaptic vesicles that were supposedly releasing acetylcholine into the into that neuromuscular junction. His thesis actually refuted that whole concept. Had a lot of trouble getting it published, but he did get it published. But that gives you the background of his own research area. But he was a frustrated basic scientist. He was a clinician at heart. Had just, but that was one of the areas that he wanted to see much more clinical research. And I think this is his quote: "Our practice needs more research, and our research needs more practice." Was perfect. Making basic science make more sense for practice, and also using more research in our practice. So I'm going to have to show you another slide that gives you a little bit, gets you again back into the time and place here. I was, as I said, this was 1979, people. And I took my first position at Washington University in St. Louis, and I practiced for about 90% of my time and taught for about 10% of my time. And then slowly got more and more involved over time in doing research and doing teaching. And in 1983, I moved completely over onto the academic side, but still spent a good deal of time in practice. And then, and what I did there was, I was offered this opportunity to get a PhD, and in 1985, I enrolled in a PhD program and got my PhD by 1990. All through that time period, we saw this explosion of research productivity out of Washington University, with the names of people that are still producing a tremendous amount of research all over the country. Steve he mentored each one of us individually, but what he did was he mentored a culture there of research, and he not only did it there, but he was influential in the profession itself. He was in Alexandria as much at APTA as much as he was in St. Louis. Another example, it is, again, I love these pictures because, again, I want to give everybody in the audience a flavor for what the time and place was. This is my good friend Steve Wolf getting his Golden Pen Award from Steve Rose in 1980. At the time, the Golden Pen Award was awarded, and I don't know if people realize it, but at the time, the editor of physical therapy was a staff member in the APTA, and that was not what the profession needed at the time. That it was time at the time the profession needed to move forward and be, and what happened with the APTA was in April of 1988, Steve Rose was the first editor of physical therapy that was not an in-house editor. We used to joke with Steve, if you weren't an in-house editor, then what were you? I always said, he's the first out-house editor that we ever had, and that's for purpose of the slide. This is 1988, and he only lived a year and a half after that, less than a year and a half after that. But it was a big move for physical therapy and for PTJ. And this is 1989 again. This was a cell phone in those times. And if you're wondering about 1989, Ronald Reagan was giving his farewell to the nation. The first George H.W. Bush was inaugurated, and the Athletics beat the Giants in the 1989 World Series. The first of 24 GPS satellites was placed in orbit. The cost of gas was $1.12. And the television show Seinfeld premiered. And that's the year that Steve Rose passed away. He wasn't 50 years old. He was 49 years old when he passed away. Just a tremendous loss. And I realized that when I was asked to do this talk, that, you can Google anything nowadays. But when you Google Steve Rose, the only thing that comes up is his obituary, and the obituary that was written in the PT Journal. So it's very, very difficult to keep the legacy alive, to keep his memory alive. This is my feeble attempt to try to do it in this one-shot deal here for the Rose Award, but I think it's something important and something we have to address sometime. Some of Steve's contributions that I think are worth rereading, and I just put a few of them up here, largely so you get a flavor for Steve. I love this first one, the Dinosaur of Academic Physical Therapy, which he co-wrote with Susan Dusinger. And you read this title and you say, what is he talking about? Well, he was basically taking on clinical education in our culture, and really calling the academic coordinators of clinical education schedule makers. And this was his attempt, and along with Susie, and she's a big part of this. I don't want to downplay her, but the two of them really threw a shot over the bow of physical therapy to sort of do more in clinical education. It was an important thing to do. The second was a shot over the bow of professional director program, the clinical directors of programs. The physical therapy director as a professional value setter, a special communication. And he wrote this with Michael Miller, who's still a faculty member at Washington University. And Michael at the time had just finished his job as a director of the Irene Johnson Institute of Rehabilitation. And again, reminding directors that their job was not just fiscal management, but the job was a professional value setter with their clinicians. Of course, his classic description and classification, the cornerstone of pathokinesiological research. And for those of you out there, again, this is a time and place term, pathokinesiology, but it did at the time define the science of what we thought physical therapy should be about. But the precision of his writing, our efforts should provide us with a clinically relevant body of knowledge and substance from which theories regarding treatment can evolve, fundamental tasks in the process describing and classification disorders of movement. We will need to establish rigorous methods of investigation and experimentation that will enable us to define our observations unquestionably. When you think about who we're going to reward tonight, this is precisely what Steve was talking about in the 1980s, the kinds of research that we're going to be rewarding tonight. And of course, the classic muscle mutability, the muscle special issue of the journal, which really was a classic publication and contribution. Really, when we talk about movement systems, we don't have movement systems without muscle, and the whole ideas put forth in this special issue were profound. So these are things that somebody might want to go back and take a look at someday. I think Steve's common push with all of us was academia is, you don't go into academia to teach only. Teaching is important, but in physical therapy academia at the time, almost everybody was just teaching, and there was not a lot of practice being done, and there wasn't a lot of research being done. And he strived to create an academic environment where you had this three-legged stool of teaching, research, and practice, and this is what he created at Washington University. It really, I was extremely fortunate to be to have do my professional growing up there. That my first job, and I left one of my only 2 jobs. I left in 1991 and came to Pittsburgh. So going back to this idea, our practice needs more research and our research needs more practice. One of the things that Steve always said to me is when I decided to take the plunge and stay in academia in the mid 1980s and get the PhD, one of the things, one of the many things that Steve would say to me was, someday you ought to get a publication in the New England Journal of Medicine. And I've tried on numerous occasions, but it's just as good for me to realize that the awardee tonight got his publication in the New England Journal of Medicine. So congratulations to Gail Deal. I can tell you, Steve would be unbelievably proud of you today. He absolutely loved the people from the armed services were one of his favorite people. These were people doing direct access before most people, it was even in anyone's vernacular. These were people that he used to send me down to Fort Leonard Wood to see how the physical therapist practiced in that Army environment. Your group, Gail, your doers, this isn't your first rodeo. You've been in this game for a while, and this is just a wonderful publication. It's going to do a world of good for physical therapy. So congratulations, Gail. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Tony, for that introduction. That's wonderful. But since I have some family here tonight, I have to correct you a little bit. It's dial, like the soap or a telephone dial, and I want them to think I'm not trying to hide myself. But I wish to take this opportunity to thank the hardworking members of the Orthopedic Academy Award Committee for recognizing our research with this prestigious award. And for such esteemed colleagues to nominate and ultimately select our research is indeed a high honor. This research was a consummate team effort. Despite the challenges of military service, including deployments, reassignments, job responsibility changes, and working through multiple institutional review boards, we kept our research team together and this project progressing. At some point, each of the co-authors held the ultimate outcome of the study in their hands, whether it was finding a successful strategy for a challenging patient, convincing a patient that, yes, you really do need to be responsible and make your appointments, or responding to a seemingly endless stream of requests from the physician editors and reviewers for clarifications and revisions. The extent to which physical therapy strategies are misunderstood and perhaps undervalued by our medical colleagues is greatly underappreciated. Osteoarthritis of the knee represents more than a single diagnosis for which we are seeking a cookbook approach for physical therapy treatment. It represents a classic chronic degenerative musculoskeletal disorder that responds well to high-level differential reasoning and carefully selected and dosed strategies that improve movement, strength, flexibility, and ultimately function. Physical therapists with high levels of education and training are extremely well suited to clinically reason their way to provide these tailored interventions. Unfortunately, COVID occupied most of the medical news coverage at the time of publication. While we have received good national and international coverage and critical review, it was relatively muted compared to coverage of previous studies during more typical times. This means physical therapists acting as change agents will need to push this evidence forward into their systems and referral sources to have the desired impact. The collective evidence for structured, tailored, and individual physical therapy exercise programs for patients with knee osteoarthritis is compelling. It also appears quite likely that manual physical therapy treatment can quickly provide additional symptom benefit and facilitate the initiation of exercise. I am hopeful that medical providers will increasingly consider and recommend a physical therapy approach as per this clinical trial for their patients with knee osteoarthritis over the more traditional, higher risk and lower benefit options. I'm also hopeful that physical therapists will devote the necessary time and energy to gain an understanding of what we provided within this clinical trial, and in turn offer that quality of intervention to their patients with knee osteoarthritis. And so my fellow authors, Chris, Steve, Skip, Ben, Evan, Doug, and Dan, it was indeed my pleasure and high honor to work with you. To my family and friends and physical therapy colleagues, thank you for joining us in this celebration. Good night.
Next, we have the James A. Gould Excellence in Teaching Orthopedic Physical Therapy Award. We'd like to recognize previous recipients of this award. This year's recipient of the James A. Gould Excellence in Teaching Orthopedic Physical Therapy Award is Dr. John Hike. Dr. Tarang Jain will present this award.
My name is Tarang Jain, and I'm honored to introduce Dr. John Hike as a recipient of this year's James A. Gould Excellence in Orthopedic Teaching Award. Dr. Hike is an associate professor in the Department of Physical Therapy and Athletic Training at the Northern Arizona University and holds PhD in orthopedic and sports science along with multiple board certifications. Dr. Hike has been teaching in the physical therapy and physical therapy assistant programs for nearly 14 years, primarily in the musculoskeletal and neurophysiological content area, for which he has developed a national and international reputation. Alongside teaching, Dr. Hike is actively involved in physical therapy research and has presented his research in reputable journals and at meetings of high scientific quality. He is an excellent teacher and has won multiple teaching awards at different institutions. His contributions to the book Differential Diagnosis for Physical Therapists, Screening for Referral, along with many book chapters and monographs, continues to establish Dr. Hike as a strong educator and superior writer. In my opinion, achieving this recognition is one of the highest honors in physical therapy education. It is indeed a compliment just to be considered for this award and to be evaluated alongside other qualified nominees. Thank you to the awards committee members for considering Dr. Hike among many dedicated instructors who have made positive contributions to orthopedic teaching.
I'm deeply honored to receive this prestigious award from the Academy of Orthopedics. I want to thank my colleagues at Northern Arizona University, Tarang Jain, and Lori Kronberger, as well as a former colleague from A.T. Still University, Jim Ferris, and two former students, Jenna Hegarty and Patrick Thompson, for their participation in this award. This award is named after James A. Gould, a faculty member at the University of Wisconsin La Crosse until 1995. The list of award recipients span a large number of rock stars in our profession, with the initial recipient receiving the award in 1995. I reached out to the general, George Davies, who is faculty with James, and I read the 1996 JOSPT editorial that Dr. Davies wrote to learn more about James Gould. The more I learned about James, the more honored I was to receive the award. In reflecting on the audience attending the Academy of Orthopedics business meeting, as with most business meetings outside of COVID, you are the individuals devoted to the Academy and most likely consist of a mixture of academicians and clinicians and perhaps a few students. To the academicians, I'm a middle-tier educator, having been teaching now full-time for 13 years. When I was in school, we still wrote down notes on everything the teacher said on paper. That's how long ago. Times have changed, right? I teach using a modified problem-based learning method now. Students that are not familiar with this approach do not necessarily like it, as it involves a lot of work. The educator does not stand up and lecture for 2 hours, and I do not provide all of the answers to all of their questions. Instead, the students are guided through the process of learning, and I become a facilitator of this process. In reading the book, Make It Stick, an excellent book on teaching, I utilized multiple assessments of a smaller, lower stakes scale, and I assessed often with a quiz occurring approximately every 2 weeks. Students adapt, right? Perhaps the students don't see the benefit of the approach until the end of the semester, or when they are taking the PED exam, or the NPTE or board exam, or when they are in the clinic. This is when the student does realize that they do understand the concept better if they apply the work to the topic of understanding instead of rote memorization. I suggest that educators investigate this approach and consider it as it does work. To the clinicians in the audience that play such a large role in teaching our students, I would ask that students should not be mollycoddled. The real world is tough. It involves documentation and sometimes balancing two patients at once. Instead, preparation for the real world as a clinician, focusing on becoming efficient and at the same time thorough, and to have the student reflect on who is in the clinic, why they are seeking the care, and what is being investigated may help the student to acclimate to the real world they will face as a clinician. Again, I want to thank the Academy of Orthopedics for this award. Stay positive and test negative.
Next, we have the Richard W. Bowling and Richard E. Erhard Orthopedic Clinical Practice Award. We'd like to recognize previous recipients of this award. This year's recipient of the Richard W. Bowling and Richard E. Erhard Orthopedic Clinical Practice Award is Dr. Michael Tolan. Dr. Tyrese Marcy will present this award.
In the spirit of the Richard W. Bowling and Richard E. Erhard Orthopedic Clinical Practice Award, it is my honor to introduce this year's recipient, Michael Tolan, whose career spanning over 36 years has made invaluable contributions to the shape and scope of orthopedic physical therapy. Michael Tolan has impacted thousands of student PTs, new graduates, seasoned novices, and experts through his work as co-owner of Olympic Sports and Spine Therapy, his most recently accredited sports and orthopedic residency programs and OMPT fellowship program, as a clinical instructor and adjunct faculty at his alma mater, the University of Puget Sound, and as a clinical fellowship instructor for Aopt. Michael has served on numerous committees in the specialty of orthopedics through the APT and Aopt, and has published articles on lumbar and cervical spine diagnoses. Most importantly, Michael has taught numerous spinal manipulation courses here in Washington State, vital to regain our right as physical therapists to manipulate the spine. Without further ado, it is my honor to introduce to you Mr. Michael Tolan.
Michael, how are we doing tonight?
I'm ready to go. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready. I know everybody else, especially in the comments section right now, is
All right.
absolutely ready. Let's do this thing. Stage is
Okay.
yours.
All right. Let's see if I can bring up my PowerPoint and you put me on a split screen. You have me, Jim?
Absolutely. You are on.
Okay, here we go. Hello, and thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Tyrese, for the introduction. I am very honored and humbled to be given this recognition. When I look at the past recipients, I am truly awed I was selected. I know many of the prior winners, and they are an outstanding group of clinicians and academics. I did not know Mr. Bowling, but I did get to meet Mr. Erhard multiple times, and I am excited to win this award, named after such a master clinician. I wish to thank the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy and the awards committee for selecting me and recognizing a full-time clinician who values teaching and professional contribution to the field of physical therapy. Over the years, I served on section committees, chaired my state orthopedic specialty interest group, became a residency and fellowship instructor, and served on numerous committees. I am currently the director of our company residency and fellowship program. I have written items for the National and Orthopedic Specialty Exam, authored several publications, and served as editor for book chapters and capstone projects for fellowship students. Along the way, this involvement has allowed me to work aside some amazing people who are also committed to see our profession grow, expand, and get better at helping our patients. Thank you to the nominating team. What a powerhouse of clinicians and clinical faculty. Tyrese Marcy, thank you for spearheading the nomination. Pam Kikillis, Christy Hostager, Rhonda Hubbersty, and Bill O'Grady, thank you for writing in support of my selection. What awesome colleagues who embody clinical excellence and who make coming to work every day a joy. I am blessed by this profession. I began as an 18-year-old at Madigan Army Medical Center, a PT clinic, and I have never looked back. What a great ride it has been. I have been blessed by my patients, mentors, colleagues, and my many students over these years. I am blessed by mentors. My long-term mentor and business partner, Bill O'Grady, who I met as a teenager at Madigan and who I have learned from and taught with ever since. Thank you. From my first job where Susan Clark taught me about inpatient care and being a well-rounded PT, to the staff of the North American Institute of Orthopedic Manual Therapy, Earl Petman, Cliff Fowler, and Porter Hoke, and many others. The crucible that is residency and fellowship under their tutelage certainly forged me into being a better therapist. The mentors who've shaped my skills and improved my hands, Lori Hartman, Vern Essenberg, Lyle Bogart, Chuck Meyer, and Pam Kikillis. So many hands have shaped my career, and I have strived to give back in the same way, building up those around me by mentoring in my residency and fellowship and teaching curriculum around the country. I am blessed by my patients. They have shaped and affected my life in countless ways. They have made work a joy, a challenge, and always an adventure. They have become family, and I've been around long enough now that I see they have grown up and have kids of their own, and I have gotten to treat those kids. They have truly been a blessing. I am blessed by strong and awesome business partners. Our company, Olympic Sports and Spine, made a decision early on to be committed to clinical excellence. We have never lost sight of that. That includes not just running our business in a certain way, but contributing to the profession by serving at the state and national level on committees and boards. Many members of our staff are currently serving terms for national committees. Many of our current and former staff teach at colleges and universities and have moved on to get PhDs and Doctor of Science degrees, contributing back to the profession by teaching the next generation of therapists. Olympic Sports and Spine developed an orthopedic and residency program for sports and manual therapy fellowship to foster advanced clinical concepts and reasoning and improve our ability to care for our patients with current concepts. We recognize an employee every year for being committed to excellence. It is because of our belief as owners and partners in this profession that we see the outcome of clinical excellence across our company. Thank you to Vern, Brian, and Claude. I am truly blessed by my wife and children. Without the support of my wife and kids, I could not have taken all the time and done all the training and eventual teaching that I did. My wife allowed me to indulge the PT nerd in me, and allowed me to become the clinician that I am today. In a year in which we have faced challenges, our profession has shown strength and resilience. I am proud of the role we have played as clinicians during these times, coming to work daily to treat our patients. I would like to recognize all the clinicians out there who do a truly outstanding job every day. It is with deep gratitude I accept the Richard Erhard Clinical Practice Award. Thank you.
Next, we have the Emerging Leader Award. This is a new award being presented for the first time this year. The recipient of the Emerging Leader Award is Dr. Janice Ying. Dr. Brooke Winder will present this award.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brooke Winder, and it's my pleasure to introduce the 2021 Aopt Emerging Leader Award recipient, Dr. Janice Ying. Dr. Ying owns Opus Physical Therapy and Performance in Los Angeles, California, and is the PT for the Colburn School Conservatory of Music. Dr. Ying has become well known for her clinical expertise in musculoskeletal care for musicians. Her work to elevate this field has been shared at CSM, as well as other prestigious venues, both nationally and internationally, reaching PTs, physicians, and musicians alike. She has an incredible track record of mentoring DPT students and performing advocacy work in the performing arts community. Dr. Ying has served in leadership roles in the Performing Arts Special Interest Group of the AOPT since 2014, including nominating committee member and chair, a member of the Performing Arts DASP Revalidation Committee, Independent Study Course Committee Chair, and Secretary. Her contributions have been integral in supporting the growth of POSIG. Congratulations on this well-deserved recognition of your contributions to the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy, Dr. Ying.
Members of the Academy, distinguished colleagues, family, and friends, I am beyond honored and humbled to be chosen as this year's recipient of the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy Emerging Leader Award. I would like to begin by thanking the Academy for giving members like me the platform, the inspiration, and motivation to grow and to push the boundaries of what physical therapy can be and do. Thank you to each of my nominators for always being my champions over the years and for always pushing me to think bigger. And to my biggest fans, my husband Brian, my parents, and my brother, who might not always understand the words that are coming out of my mouth as I talk about my ideas very excitedly, but support me unconditionally nonetheless. I owe a great deal of debt to all of the colleagues that I have collaborated with over the years, no matter how big or how small the project, but especially one in particular, my partner in crime from the time I was in PT school up through now, Aaron Hayden, who has spent many late nights with me over many carafes of coffee, coming up with new ideas and ways to advocate for and promote the field of musicians' health. Special thanks also goes to some of the leaders in the Performing Arts Special Interest Group, Annette Karam, Laura Abuzizi, and Rosie Canizares, and many, many others, as well as my mentor and friend, Lindsay Blau, for her guidance over the years. I would also like to take a moment and thank the faculty, staff, and students at the University of Southern California for creating a supportive environment in order to help me develop my skills as a student, and then now allowing me to share my expertise as an instructor. And then lastly, to the Colburn School Conservatory of Music for giving me a home to practice my passion. And there are many, many other people who have helped me and helped facilitate my growth along the way, so thank you as well. When I get asked about how I became a physical therapist, I always joke that I took the scenic route to become one. Growing up as a musician, the focus was always on your performance, your technique, your sound, and never really about how to care for your bodies or how to maximize your performance from a physical standpoint. And it wasn't until I suffered my own injuries as a pianist and a violinist and became a physical therapy patient that I realized the power of this particular profession and what it could mean for musicians, not really knowing that that movement had already begun. So it's an understatement to say that I was ecstatic to find a home in the AOPT at the very beginning of my journey. None of this would have been possible had it not been for the amazing members and leaders of the Performing Arts Special Interest Group who have set the example of innovation and passion for their craft, and who are always pushing their members to think outside of the box and to make what is not currently possible, possible. I stand on the shoulders of many other great therapists who have helped evolve this area of physical therapy. Throughout my time in the POSIG as a baby PT up until now, they have continuously encouraged me to share my passion and my ideas on helping promote health and wellness for musicians and the rest of the profession, and more importantly, gave me the platform to do so. It goes without saying that physical therapy is an extraordinary profession, and it's not because I'm not biased. And to be recognized for developing an area that had not fully been realized just goes to show the power and the potential of this field, and that our work as physical therapists are never truly finished. Over the years, I have been very excited to see more and more young physical therapy students and therapists expressing their interest in treating musicians and working with them, and even more excited to see that the music community, the music students, are taking more time to learn about their bodies, and I am very happy to share that knowledge with them. I founded my physical therapy practice, my clinic, Opus Physical Therapy and Performance, on a single musical term, and that is opus, which means work, effort, productive labor, work of art. And I believe that everyone has their own opus, and I strive to help everyone I encounter discover what that might be. And this award is the opus that I am the most proud of. So thank you to the Academy. Thank you to the Performing Arts Special Interest Group. Thank you to my family, friends, and colleagues who have supported me over the years unconditionally, and I can't wait to see what my next opus may be.
Next, we have the Outstanding Physical Therapy Student Award. We'd like to recognize previous recipients of this award. This year's recipient of the Outstanding Physical Therapy Student Award is Ashley Lee from Duke University. Dr. Rosie Canisares will present this award.
Before I present the Student Award, since I have the mic, I wanted to say a quick congratulations to my friend and colleague Janice on her award, just one of the perks of presenting live. But now it's my absolute pleasure to present the Aopt Outstanding Physical Therapy Student Award to Ashley Lee. As the Vice President of the Performing Arts SIG and the Coordinator of Alumni Engagement at Duke DBT, it's been a joy to work with her. While it was an easy task to nominate her, it's challenging to summarize all that she's done in just 3 slides and 2 minutes. Sharing a love for the performing arts and especially dance, she was able to volunteer with me at the American Dance Festival and collaborate on many dance medicine research projects, including our poster that won first place at a recent Performing Arts Medical Association conference. As a student, she also traveled internationally to present one of our other posters at the International Association for Dance Medicine and Science annual conference. She even drove from Durham to DC to attend a performing arts con ed course, despite it being the weekend before her first big neuro exam. I hope these few examples easily convey her commitment to the profession of physical therapy and the bright future that lies ahead of her. Congratulations, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Rosie, for that introduction. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you to the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy for this award. I'm truly grateful for this honor. It is not something I will soon forget. I would like to thank the Performing Arts SIG for all the opportunities and events that they have provided for me to get more involved. I would love to thank Dr. Rosie Canisares for her constant mentorship, support, and encouragement over the past few years and for nominating me for this award. I would like to thank everyone at Duke DPT, to our inspiring faculty, including Dr. Simon and Dr. Cluley, for providing letters of support for me for this award. And to my classmates, the class of 2021, and especially to my teammates on Team 10, I'm so grateful for you guys. Again, thank you to all who have supported me on this journey so far. I feel so extremely grateful and lucky to be a part of this amazing profession with such great individuals. Thank you so much.
Next, we have the Outstanding Physical Therapy Assistant Student Award. We'd like to recognize previous recipients of this award. This year's recipient of the Outstanding Physical Therapy Assistant Student Award is Mason Deleo from Somerset Community College. Dr. Steve Hammonds will be presenting this award.
Hi, I'm Steve Hammonds, the Director of Clinical Education for the PTA program at Somerset Community College located in Somerset, Kentucky. This year, I had the pleasure to nominate the 2021 Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy's Student PTA of the Year, Mason DeLille. Mason is a second-year PTA student at SCC and is on track to graduate in this May. He is very passionate about the field of physical therapy and truly has a desire to help people. Mason excels in his understanding of orthopedic concepts and serves as a mentor and tutor within our program. Although the pandemic has limited his ability to be as active in his community as he desires, he still managed to be involved with several philanthropic entities, including a local homeless shelter and a shelter for victims of domestic violence. Mason is a wonderful young man and a fantastic representation of our profession. So it is with great pleasure that I present to you this year's 2021 Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy's Student PTA of the Year, Mason DeLille.
Hi, my name is Mason DeLille, and I would like to thank the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy for this award. And I would also like to thank Steve Hammonds and Ron Mead for always pushing me to excel and be the best student that I can be. I would also like to thank the Somerset Community College PTA program, class of 21, and I cannot wait to graduate and become an orthopedic clinician.
I'm Claire Ardern, Editor-in-Chief of JOSPT, and today it's my pleasure to share with you the winners of the 2020 JOSPT Excellence in Research Award, an award that's named after Professor Guy Simoneau, whom I know many in our community know well. JOSPT is committed to publishing quality research to help clinicians help the patients that they work with, and the 2020 award recipient paper is a terrific example of this kind of research. As you know, managing neck pain in the clinic can be a challenge. Many folks in our community have started using dry needling as part of their management approach, and dry needling might also be something that patients ask questions about. And that's what makes the 2020 award-winning paper so helpful. The authors have taken a rigorous research design and used it to tackle an important clinical question. The Guy G. Simoneau Excellence in Research Award for 2020 goes to Dr. Fabio Stephen and his team for their paper, Dry Needling Combined with Guideline-Based Physical Therapy Provided No Added Benefit in the Management of Chronic Neck Pain, a randomized controlled trial. Congratulations.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. We made it through the entire live stream without an issue. No one turned into a cat at any point during this meeting. We do want to do some housekeeping and let you know. First off, thank you so much for all the comments and the support. I don't want to use the term unprecedented times, but this is one of those. But the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy did a great job in pivoting to a really interactive format. And thank you guys for doing that, interacting with us tonight in the comment section. For next year, start taking a look at who is next to you, what colleagues deserve a contribution in terms of an award next year. So many different therapists deserving of an award. Make sure you nominate those for those awards that you saw tonight at orthopt.org. Thank you guys so much for being here with us this evening. This was fun. It was a chance to put on clothes. Well, for at least from the waist up. Ladies and gentlemen,